All right, buckle up, everyone, because today's deep dive is all about relationships.
Ooh, juicy.
It is. We're talking those make it or break it roles that determine if your partnership goes the distance.
Sounds intense. Where are we getting this wisdom from?
Straight from Chapter 6 of Second Marriages, Why 40% Succeed and 60% Don't.
Second marriages.
Yep. But hold on, before you single folks tune out, I gotta say, this chapter is gold, even if you're nowhere near the altar. It gets to the core of what makes a wine relationship tick.
Okay, you've got my attention. Spill the tea.
Well, the book's big idea is that knowing your role and rocking it is the secret sauce to a successful relationship.
Makes sense, but knowing and doing are two different things.
Exactly. And that's where this book gets super interesting. It lays out 5 roles for men, 8 for women. Some you might expect, others might raise an eyebrow.
Give us a sneak peek. What kind of roles are we talking about?
Think cultivator or protector. But it's not just poetic language. They get into the nitty-gritty of how these roles play out in everyday life.
Intriguing. So, where do we start? Men first.
Let's do it. Role number 1 for the guys is dwell in God's presence. Now.
Hold on. I'm not religious. Is this still relevant to me?
Absolutely. Stick with us here. It's not just about prayer or church. It's about tapping into a source of guidance and wisdom, whatever that looks like for you.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about it like this. Don't we all need something to center ourselves, especially when dealing with a roller coaster of relationships?
That's true. Whether it's meditation, talking to a mentor, journaling, or just some good old-fashioned reflection, finding that inner compass can make a world of difference.
Exactly. It's about approaching your relationship with intention, clarity, and maybe even a little bit of divine inspiration wherever you find it.
I could dig that. So what's next on the list?
Rule number 2 is manifest your potential.
Ooh, that sounds empowering.
Right. It's about more than just clocking in and out at work. It's about discovering that thing that lights you up, the work that makes you feel truly alive.
That sweet spot where your passion and purpose collide.
Boom. And let's be real, it probably helps to put food on the table too. But it's not just about bringing home the bacon. It's about feeling fulfilled by your contribution to the world.
I can see how that would positively impact a relationship. When both partners are pursuing their passions, there's this energy, this excitement that spills over into everything else.
Totally. Less stress, more joy. It's a win-win. Okay, ready for rule number 3?
Hit me.
Be a cultivator.
A cultivator? Like a farmer.
You got it. Think of a gardener carefully tending to their plants. Now, swap those plants for your partner's growth. It's about creating an environment where they can thrive.
So like watering their dreams, fertilizing their potential, weeding out negativity.
Yes. Encouraging them, supporting their goals, celebrating their wins. It's about those little everyday actions that show you're invested in their happiness.
That's beautiful. It makes me think of that time when my partner was hesitant to start their own business. I encouraged them every step of the way, helped them overcome their doubts, and celebrated every milestone like it was my own.
And I bet witnessing their growth was incredibly rewarding. It's about fostering that sense of mutual support and inspiration.
Totally. All right, what's the next role? I'm loving this.
This one might seem more straightforward, but it's just as vital. Role number 4, be a protector.
Okay, so we're talking physical safety.
Yeah, absolutely. But it goes deeper than that. It's about creating a safe and stable environment for your partner, both physically and emotionally.
Especially in today's world, with all the pressures and negativity we face online. It's about setting boundaries, filtering out the noise, and protecting yourself and your loved ones from those harmful influences.
Exactly. It's like being a guardian of your partner's well-being, creating that sense of security and peace.
I love it. What's the final role for the guys?
Last but not least, be a teacher.
Ooh, interesting. So are we talking lectures and pop quizzes here?
Not quite. It's not about being a know-it-all or bossing your partner around. It's about sharing knowledge, values, and even emotional intelligence. Think of it like mentorship, guiding your partner towards growth and well-being.
It reminds me of that story about Abraham Lincoln writing a letter to his son's teacher, outlining the values he wanted instilled in his child. It's about that thoughtful guidance, setting a good example, and inspiring your partner to be their best self.
Exactly. It's about leading with wisdom and compassion, not with a ruler and a textbook.
I like it. So we've covered the 5 roles for men. Are you ready to dive into the 8 roles outlined for women?
Bring it on. I'm all ears.
All right, let's start with number 1, be sober. Now, before you jump to conclusions,
It's not just about avoiding alcohol.
right, it's about being level-headed,
Hmm.
responsible, and having that steady hand in the midst of life's chaos.
That grounded energy, that voice of reason that everyone needs in a
It's
crisis.
exactly. And the next role is love your husband. Now, this might seem obvious.
But the book actually places it above loving children.
Really? That's interesting.
Right. It's about nurturing that deep connection with your partner, meeting their needs, and prioritizing that bond.
So it's not just about saying those three little words. It's about actively showing love through your actions.
Exactly. Making that effort to understand their unique needs and making them feel loved and cherished.
I love that. But don't worry, the kids aren't forgotten. Rule number 3 is love your children.
That one feels more familiar, but it's more than just hugs and kisses, right?
Definitely. It's about nurturing their emotional, spiritual, and physical well-being, providing that safe and loving environment where they can thrive.
That's a full-time job in itself. The book acknowledges the massive amount of energy and dedication that goes into motherhood.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful but demanding role. Okay, moving on to number 4. Be discreet.
Intriguing. What's that all about?
It's about being trustworthy, protecting family secrets, and maintaining a good reputation. Being mindful of what you share with others, and recognizing that some things are meant to stay within the family circle.
Especially in the age of social media oversharing. It's a good reminder to set those healthy boundaries and respect privacy.
Couldn't agree more. All right, rule number 5 might raise some eyebrows. Be chaste.
Oh, that one's loaded. But if we look beyond the traditional interpretation of purity,
It touches on self-respect, dignity, and how you present yourself to the world.
and it connects to modern discussions about online personas and how much we choose to reveal about
That's
ourselves.
a great point. It's about owning your choices and setting those personal standards.
Okay, rule number 6 is beekeepers at home. I feel like this one could spark some debate.
It definitely has the potential. But it's not about being confined to the house. It's about creating a warm, welcoming, and well-maintained home environment.
The book has this interesting point about the bedroom being the couple's sanctuary, a space they cultivate and care for together.
I love that. Creating a haven away from the everyday chaos.
And it doesn't mean women should bear the brunt of housework. It's about both partners contributing to a comfortable and loving home.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right? Okay, on to number 7, which is simply be good.
Short and sweet.
Right, it's about extending kindness beyond your immediate family, building community, and spreading positivity.
Those ripple effects of good deeds, starting from our own little corner of the world.
Exactly. And finally, we come to rule number 8. Be obedient to your husband.
Okay, this one's definitely going to spark some strong opinions.
It's definitely the most controversial. But even if you don't subscribe to the religious context, there are some valuable takeaways here.
Like respecting your partner's leadership, working together as a team, and finding healthy ways to communicate disagreements.
It's about finding that balance between respecting authority and maintaining your own voice.
And the book actually gives tips on how to disagree respectfully, which is a skill we could all use regardless of our relationship dynamics.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. 5 roles for men, 8 for women.
And that's just within a traditional marriage. There's a whole other layer when you factor in step parenting.
Which brings us to our next topic.
Step families, blended families. Talk about a whole new level of relationship challenges, right?
It's like navigating a minefield sometimes. You got all these pre-existing bonds, different parenting styles. It's a lot to juggle.
The book really emphasizes patience and understanding in these situations. It's not about instantly becoming mom or dad. It's about building trust and friendship first.
It makes you think about those classic evil stepmother tropes, doesn't it? Trying to come in and change everything overnight is a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
stepping into an existing family dynamic. You can't just bulldoze your way in. The book suggests letting the biological parent take the lead, especially with discipline in the beginning.
Oh, that's smart. So it doesn't feel like the step-parent is coming in and trying to lay down the law right away.
It's about respecting those existing relationships and letting things evolve naturally. The book actually gives an example of letting the biological parent handle discipline at first, just to maintain consistency and avoid any mixed messages.
That makes so much sense. Think about it. Kids are super perceptive. They'll pick up on any inconsistencies between the adults in their lives.
Oh, absolutely. And that applies even beyond blended families. Any co-parenting situation really benefits from a united front.
Okay, so we've talked about these roles, 5 for men, 8 for women, plus this whole step-parenting dynamic. It's a lot to digest.
It is. But here's the thing. The book argues that these roles are just the building blocks. The real secret sauce lies in the foundation they're built upon.
And that foundation, according to the book, is love and submission.
I can already hear some people cringing at that phrase.
I know, right? It sounds a little old-fashioned, maybe even a bit controversial.
Definitely. But if we can peel back those layers of traditional interpretation, there's some universal wisdom in there.
Like mutual respect, putting the needs of the relationship first, serving each other. Those are pretty solid principles for any successful partnership, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that a strong relationship requires a certain level of selflessness, of putting the we before the me. The book uses this really cool analogy. They say that roles are like instruments in an orchestra. Each one has its own unique sound, but it's the conductor, that underlying harmony that brings it all together.
I love that. And in a relationship, that conductor is that commitment to loving and serving each other.
It's about shifting the focus from winning individual battles to creating something beautiful together. But I think the question a lot of people have is, what does that actually look like in real life?
Right. How do we translate these kind of lofty concepts into everyday actions?
Well, the book dives deep into what love and submission mean within a Christian marriage, but we won't get into those specifics here.
Instead, let's focus on those universal takeaways that resonate with anyone, regardless of their beliefs.
For example, the book emphasizes that love isn't just a feeling, it's a verb. It's about actively choosing to serve and cherish your partner.
It's those small, everyday actions that speak volumes, making their favorite meal, offering a listening ear after a rough day, expressing appreciation for the things they do.
It's about making that conscious effort to show your partner that you care.
And on the flip side, submission isn't about becoming a doormat or blindly obeying your partner.
It's about respecting their strengths, trusting their judgment, and recognizing that sometimes the best way to love someone is to support their leadership.
Exactly. And again, this translates beyond a religious context. Think about any successful team. There's usually a designated leader, but there's also open communication, mutual respect, and a shared goal.
The key is finding that balance between respecting your partner's leadership and advocating for your own needs and perspectives. So with all that said, what does this all mean for our listeners out there?
Well, whether you're single, dating, married, or somewhere in between, these roles and this concept of love and submission offer a really interesting framework for thinking about how we show up in our relationships. It's about asking ourselves, are we truly nurturing each other? Are we protecting each other's well-being? Are we communicating effectively?
And most importantly, are we approaching our relationships with a spirit of love and service? Or are we primarily focused on our own individual needs?
Those are big questions. And they deserve some serious reflection.
It's like that saying, right? You can't pour from an empty cup.
So true. You got to take care of yourself, nurture your own growth before you can truly show up for someone else.
It's like tending to your own garden first. So with all this talk about roles and foundations, where does it leave us?
Well, the book makes this point, and it's kind of mind-blowing, that fulfilling those roles is actually secondary.
Wait, really? You're telling me all that stuff about cultivators and protectors? It's not the main event.
It's important, don't get me wrong, but it's like the icing on the cake. The cake itself, the thing that really matters, is that foundation of love and submission.
Okay, so even if you're doing all the right things, playing the part perfectly, if that deeper connection isn't there.
The relationship's going to struggle. Like, imagine building a house on sand. It might look impressive, but the first storm that comes along.
It's toast. The book really drives home that point about a strong foundation. So it all boils down to this: what does true love and submission actually look like for you in your own relationship?
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's going to be different for everyone.
No cookie-cutter answers here, so how about it, listeners? Take a moment and reflect. What makes your relationship not just good, but amazing? What helps it weather those inevitable storms?
What makes you feel truly loved, truly supported? And how do you show up for your partner in that same way?
These are questions worth exploring, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. Hit us up on social media, send us an email.
Let's keep this conversation going.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into relationship roles. Until next time, keep those relationships strong, keep growing, and keep those conversations flowing.